Hey there, everyone. Today I have a story about Muddy Waters. He is a blues legend, so if you've ever heard blues music, you may have heard of Muddy Waters. Here we go. Muddy, the story of blues legend Muddy Waters by Michael Mahin. To my dad, sail on, sail on. Fix that book there for you. McKinley Morganfield was never good at doing what he was told, especially when it came to playing in the mud. His mama should have been mad, but she couldn't help but laugh. Ah, my muddy baby, my sweet muddy baby. McKinley's mama gave him a life and a laugh, and then she was gone forever. Oh, child, long gone. Oh, child, sail on. But McKinley did have Grandma Della. She scooped him up and tried to keep him clean, and finally just started calling him Muddy. And he had music. Muddy loved the "Say It With Me" voice of the preacher, and the "Glory, Glory" singing of the choir. But the music Muddy really loved, they didn't play on Sundays. What Muddy really loved was fish fry music. It was the shake and the dust and the ring out your worries and laugh and cry and feel alive music. It was the blues, and Muddy couldn't get enough. To have the blues was to feel bad, but to play the blues was to take that low down, skunk funk, deep stomach hurt and turn it into something else. Muddy liked the blues. Unfortunately, Grandma Della did not. Last I checked, you can't eat the blues for breakfast, said Grandma Della. No child of mine is going to waste his time with music. But Muddy was never good at doing what he was told. So he found himself a smashed kerosene can to beat on, and a wheezy accordion to squeeze, and a tired piece of wire to pluck, and he made himself enough noise to feel good. Not even Grandma Della could keep from dancing. One night, Muddy watched his hero blues legend's son House smash an empty bottle, take the bottleneck, and smooth the jagged edge over a fire. "This is called a slide," he said, dragging the bottleneck up the string. The guitar howled like a wolf, powerful, lonely, and proud. That was the sound of the Mississippi Delta. That was the sound Muddy heard in his heart. Muddy saved his pictures, bought himself an old Stella guitar, and practiced and played for anyone who would listen, and a few who didn't. After a long while, the howl that was in his heart finally started coming out of his guitar. On weekends, Muddy made the juke joints jump, playing for the workers when it was time to unwind. But when Monday came, Muddy was back in his overalls, back working the fields. Sharecropping was back-busting, soul-breaking work, and Muddy was already in a bad mood when the new boss started picking on him. Muddy had gotten good at burying his anger, and his pride, and his hurt. To do otherwise could get you beaten up or worse. But today, Muddy couldn't do it. He was tired of being picked on. "I ain't a boy," he said, "and I sure ain't your boy." The boss's man face went red with anger as Muddy walked away. "Stop right there, or you'll never work in this town again." But Muddy was never good at doing what he was told. "Chicago's got a lot of people," he told Grandma Della, "but I don't think they ever had a Muddy Waters before. Me and my guitar gonna make it just fine. Don't you worry." Oh, child, long gone. Oh, child, sail on. Looks like he's taking a train out of town. The click-a-clack steam blur of an Illinois Central train rocketed Muddy and his guitar into the bustle and the buzz of Chicago's South Side. Chicago was plugged in, turned on, and turned up. And so it was music. Records with electrified guitars and jazzy horns were making the blues jump out all over town. Chicago was the city of the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis, the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. It was the city of the Chicago Defender, the legendary black newspaper dedicated to fighting racial injustice. And now it was the city of muddy waters. In the clubs, the bebop jazz swing of the horns and strings had laid itself down over the blues like a chiffon blanket. This was music by city smooth sophisticats, not country dusted hound dogs. No one wanted to hear a country boy playing the country blues. You gotta shake the dust off, the club owner teased. You gotta jazz it up. But Muddy was never good at doing what he was told. The way he figured, his playing was just fine. It was their hearing that needed help. So Muddy plugged in, turned on, turned up, and came the sound of the Delta, buzzing like mad and like an angry hornet's nest looking for a fight. It was a deep feeling, gut bucket, gut aching music full of life and love that troubled and pride. It made people stand up and raise their hands and stomp their feet and laugh and cry and come alive. It was nothing like the primed and polished sounds people were used to, and they loved it. Whoa, yeah, whoa, yeah. Sail on, sail on. Muddy loved the clubs, but the late hours and the low pay took its toll. He couldn't live on change alone. One day, Muddy got a call. A friend was making a record at the Universal Recording Studio, and he needed a sideman to back him up on the guitar. If Muddy played well, they might let him even record his own song. Finally, a chance. First, they recorded his friend, and then they recorded him. Muddy did exactly what they told him to. They added string and horn and that soft and sweet Bluebird record beat. But Muddy didn't care. He was just happy to be making a record. Too bad they put someone else's name on it. Muddy couldn't believe it. This was supposed to be his big break. This was supposed to be his record. But it wasn't. At least not according to the cover. At least Muddy had made a record for Columbia. This time they got his name right. Too bad they decided not to release the record. Muddy was crushed. I play it like they say it. I play it and they still don't like it, he thought. What am I supposed to do? Poor Muddy. When the record producer Leonard Chess called, Muddy knew not to get his hopes up. Leonard wanted Muddy to record Leonard's music, Leonard's way. But Muddy knew this might be his last chance, so he said yes. Soft is right, sweet and polite, said Leonard. That's where the cat's at. Muddy picked up his guitar. He walked to the microphone, but he couldn't do it. Not again. Muddy had never been good at doing what he was told anyway. When Leonard pointed to the horns, Muddy pointed to the exit. No horns, no jazz, no foolin', said Muddy. If I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail playing my music my way. There was lightning in Muddy's eyes. If Leonard could bottle that, maybe they would have something. You get one chance, said Leonard. Don't blow it. Muddy sat down with his guitar, pulled the microphone close, closed his eyes. Whoa, child. He remembered the dust, the plow, the meanness of the land, and the soft of King Cotton. Oh, child. He called up the sticky heat of a summer night, the power of love and the need for connection in a world that was so good at pulling people apart. And he played just like Son House had taught him, not with his fingers, not with his fingers, but with his heart. Muddy sang about life as he'd lived it, with all of its pain, its power, and its glory forever. Still unconvinced, Leonard printed only 3,000 copies of the record, and he sent them to local stores. Muddy chewed his nails and he waited. What if people didn't like his voice? What if he wasn't good enough after all? Muddy didn't have to wait very long to find out. All across the South Side, The boom and bounce of Muddy's voice thundered down from open apartment windows. People were talking. This new blues was something special. He felt honest and raw. It felt real. It felt like the past and the future and the country and the city all rolled into one. Not only did Muddy have a record, he had a hit. In 24 hours, it was sold out. Leonard printed more. A lot more. One day, the Beatles would be shaking Muddy's hand. One day, the President of the United States would be tapping his toes. One day, the whole world would know the name Muddy Waters. One day was on its way. Oh, child, long gone. Oh, child, sail on. We're sailing on. And in the back of this book, there's a picture of Muddy Waters and just a little bit more about him. When we get back to the library in person, you can check it out and read it. I hope you enjoyed this book about Muddy Waters, the story of the blues legend, Muddy Waters. Have a good day.